No! No! No!
Oh, what is up, all you amazing, beautiful, wonderfully cool ghosts out there in the world? I'm Pops Ghostly. This is the Horror Pop Extravaganza. That might have popped a little bit, but we are back. We are here to do the thing, bring the macabre and the mindful together. Today, I have with me
Arnie Stinkknuckle.
one more time for the ghosts out there,
Arnie Stinkknuckle.
Arnie Stinkknuckle. It is
Been there, dude. Yeah.
it's such a pleasure to
Oh
have
shit.
you here. Yeah, all the way, all the way. You have many knuckles, so I'm surprised it's just one stinky knuckle. Is it just that little first one, or I mean, is it like stinky
Dude,
knuckle?
if you got the stinky pinky knuckle, you went too far, dude. That's too much for a Saturday afternoon.
I'll take it. Um, what is up? We're here to do that thing that we do, try to do once a week. But before we get there, I wanted to share something with you because I think, anyone listening to this knows we enjoy talking about horror movies, but we both enjoy all kinds of cinema, all kinds. And I was out in the living room the other day and I was like, man, I need a good fucking laugh. Like, just, it's got some heavy news and shit like that. I'm like, I need a good laugh. And who do you go to when you need a good laugh? At least in my mind, when I need a really good belly laugh, I go to Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks is almost always guaranteed to fucking like hurt my stomach. Like, in shit that I've seen like so many times, it still makes me laugh. And so I'm like, I'm gonna throw on Blazing Saddles. And so I turn on Blazing Saddles. My buddy who's in the living room is sitting there. He's completely unfamiliar with Blazing Saddles. Like has
What?
no idea of the content. And I said the same thing. I'm like, wow. I mean, I thought everybody saw this movie. I was like, it's one of the greatest satires ever done. Well, anyway, movie opens up, and you know how Blazing Saddles opens up with all this kind of really harsh language and strong stereotyping against people. Which, if anyone has seen the movie, that's kind of the point: is to really the ignorant white people are the terrible villains in all of this. It's the ignorance of, and that's what Mel Brooks always did so good. He showed you the ignorance of your ways in comedy, and that's a great way to do it. If you can laugh at it, you can take some of the power away. But anyway, he's on the couch, and I probably built this up bigger than it needs to be, but he's on the couch, and anyway, they start going. And he turns to me, dude, just dead ass, and he's like, "What the fuck are we watching, bro?" And I'm like, I'm like, ah, ah, ah. He's like, "Do you hear what they just said?"
You were fucking canceled in your own living room, Pops Ghostly.
Dude, I got canceled in my own living room for Blazing Saddles. And then the movie went on. I was like, oh, okay, we had a conversation about it. But I was also so grateful that I was there and present in that moment because I got to see someone get offended by Blazing Saddles for the first time. You know what I mean? And then the further you get into it, I think the more apparent it all becomes, with fucking Mongo punching horses and shit. And fuck, I love Gene Wilder, dude. And he's like, yeah, fucking try and close your hand on them chess pieces and shit. And he goes, and he doesn't even fucking move. He's like, oh, you looking for this? Like, they used to call me the Colorado Kid or whatever. He's like, you see this? He's like, yeah. He's like, this is my shooting hand. The fact that Wilder could do that fucking gag shit, you know what I mean, and keep the straight like theater trained actor, somebody
Yeah.
who looks like they belong on a stage somewhere doing fucking Shakespeare and all these big productions. He's like, oh, but this is my shooting hand. And then the relationship unfolds. Either way, great movie, and just I thought it was kind of a funny story. It's rare in this world that you get to see somebody surprised by a movie that for people like us who grew up in that culture and that's we just took as much as we could of it in. That's kind of like high comedy. You know what I mean? That's that's up there. Like, oh, you consider yourself a fucking movie person? If you haven't watched like the Mel Brooks library, I don't fully understand how you can consider yourself that because it is some of the best comedy. You know, same with like Charlie Chaplin or fucking Buster Keaton. I'm not saying you got to watch all of it, but it's good to have an understanding of some of it. And Brooks's satire comedy and shit is just fucking unbelievable, dude. Young Frankenstein's still one of my favorite movies of all time, and I think maybe that's why I'm defending this man so hard. I don't think he even needs me to defend him. He's got a whole fucking books have been written of it, you know what I mean? But yeah, it was funny to see somebody so shocked by Blazing Saddles, but we're not here to talk about Blazing Saddles. I wish we were here to talk about Blazing Saddles. So this one you brought to, sorry, this little thing's in the corner of my screen. I want to get rid of it. So you brought this to me. I was like, yo, this shit just hit HBO, and bless all those people who allow me to use their logins and shit because I've never got, you're all the best. Uh, but I've been doing that lately, especially when something pops up. My buddy Will just sent me a message the other night. He said, "Hey," because he told me about Den of Thieves 2, Pantera, when it first came out, and he's like, "Oh, it's pretty fun." Da da da. I say, "Hey, I ain't paying for it. Like, I'll wait." You know what I mean? And then he sends me another message. Yo, we just hit fucking Netflix. So I watched it the other night. And I actually had a really fucking good time. You know, it was a fun popcorn movie. But this one popped up on Max, I think, where this is streaming right now.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of a good like religiously themed horror psychological type of flick, whether it be, you know, directly in the church where you get a lot of more of the exorcism type stuff, or you go into the woods with like the Wicker Man and kind of the ritual, you know, more pagan ideas. I've always really enjoyed these types of stories. And then this one you send over, you're like, yo, let's check out the Heretic from, or is it just Heretic or is it the Heretic?
Let me take a look. I'm not sure actually.
Yeah, I can't.
Just Heretic.
Okay, yeah, Heretic.
Just Heretic.
Let's check out this thing. Heretic was a big theatrical release, stars Hugh Grant as, but we'll get there. I'll let you do all that part. Um, Yeah, why don't you just take us there, dude? Because we got things to talk about. We got things to talk about. You've already got it opened up in front of you. So what is this movie? What does IMDb think it's about? Who's in it? Who directed it? Yada yada. And was it A24 or Neon distributed this?
I believe it was A24, but
Yeah.
this is what's working right now in cinema. We're doing these big, huge, billion dollar movies, and they're not making shit at the box
Right.
office.
Right.
And the studios are gonna have to realize we're gonna have to adjust the algorithm because it ain't fucking working.
Right. Even the
What
way
is
they're talking
working?
about new Marvel, I'm just like, damn, man. Like they're like, oh, this everybody who's gonna be this is phase fucking 7 or something. And I'm like, he's putting, you know, Robert Downey Jr. back. That's awesome. I'd love to see some of these characters, but if we've lived in a superhero world for a long time, so I get your point. You know, the return, diminishing returns is going to keep happening on these until we pump the brakes. But we have been getting shit like Long Legs blew the fuck up, and so I do think you have studios who are looking to, does this compete with Long Legs? In my eyes, not at all. But it is. Definitely a step in that direction where you put your money into some talent. You know you've got some talent, a recognizable name, a big powerhouse like a Nick Cage or a Hugh Grant, who you know he fucking shows up in this thing. There's a lot of good things to be said about this, but I feel like I was overwhelmed by a lot of the holes. Yeah, that's what she said. The- but we are seeing the studio system, I think, try. They will try to do whatever they can to make money. It doesn't matter what the fuck it is, whether it's do a little indie thing like this or it's do a big blockbuster, they're gonna chase the dollar for the most part. And every once in a while we luck out where you get like, oh shit, this is you know, pretty cool that came from a low dollar thing. And I also feel we live in this world of like studio systems having to distribute a very specific product based on their name. Like people, you know, like A24, and I'm not saying they're all bad, neon shit like that. Like if I go to Studio Ghibli, I expect, you know what I mean, a certain thing. And I believe they're starting to compartmentalize in that way. Not your big fucking, you know, your Warner Brothers and all these guys, but some of your smaller ones. Just find your little niche thing, put out a bunch of little movies while in the background you're just like ting, 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 Scrooge McDuckin, dude, just swimming in fucking gold coins. It's great.
Well, yeah, this thing could have been like a Blumhouse movie easily.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah. I
that's
think
what,
it. I mean,
right.
did they have any distribution on it? I don't remember if there was, because I feel like I saw a couple different names as far as maybe financing or distribution, but I wasn't paying that close attention, so
Right.
hold on to it. But don't worry about that. Just tell us who's in it and what the fuck IMDb thinks is about.
So this movie stars Hugh Grant as Mr. Reed. They thought of nobody else but Hugh Grant when they wrote this part, which was interesting because this is out of character for him. But that's what I love. I love taking an actor who's kind of pigeonholed into one thing and
Yeah.
letting them do something different because most actors have a range that they're not allowed to show.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I mean, he's been given opportunity. You have to really look at his career, though. His career is extraordinarily robust with all the different shit that he's done. We remember him in our youth and our formative years from all the rom-coms and things that got spit out, and it was like everywhere's a proposal or a fucking wedding, something this, something that. But dude does have a lot of cool, and this is a very you see, for me, I don't even see it as that big of a stretch for him because he can bring that intensity and it's just like funnel it into this. And he's got the look. He's got the look of somebody that you might trust at first who could be kind of, and his performance is one of the shining, moments in this, I think, especially early on when you see that transformation from, like goofy da 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 to a more, yeah, nefarious character.
Yeah. What's crazy is he literally went from being an Oompa Loompa to this.
Right. And I liked him as that Oompa Loompa.
I thought it was good. Uh, our main two actresses are Sophie Thatcher and Chloe Eastman. And Sophie Thatcher, I was like, I know this girl. Who is she? What has she been in? She was in that companion movie that just came out with Dennis Quaid's kid.
Is this the blonde girl or the dark-haired girl?
She had dark hair. Yeah,
Okay, so she
dark
was the
hair.
one with the troubled past, and
Yeah.
then the other girl was more of the straight. But both of the everybody shows up and acts. We'll get there, but yeah,
Absolutely.
um,
Let's talk about a little side cameo here by Topher Grace.
right.
Weird.
And you talk about the side cameo that just fucking stories that could have been fleshed out a little bit. But yeah, Topher Grace does show up. And strange, you're right, because I feel when I saw him, I was like, "Holy shit, that's Spider-Man, or not Spider-Man, but fucking." And my buddy was like, "I said that's Topher Grace," and he's like, "What?" And I was like, and he looked for a second. He's like, "Oh yeah, dude, that is," because he didn't. You couldn't even tell at first under the
Oh
glasses
yeah.
and like the poofy hair or whatever he had going on.
Yeah, yeah. Written and directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. And now for what IMDb has to say about this movie. Two young religious women are drawn into a game of cat and mouse in the house of a strange man.
That is that's the most bare bones fucking description of this movie you could possibly come up with, dude.
Yeah.
Um, and we do get to this creepy house pretty quick. We just open up with them portrayed as one like hyper innocence, and she's like, I might have seen a pornography movie, you know?
I loved this opening scene because I had a lot of Mormon friends in Flagstaff,
Yeah,
especially when I got into like my film community. A lot of the Mormons were the ones that were like, "We got plenty of time and happy to help."
right.
And they have conversations like this. That's so funny, from being a guy who just like
Mhm.
fucks all the time to like hear these kids talk about what they think fucking is like is so funny. And I thought that that was a great way to open this up. And
It
those two
was.
girls nailed it. It turns out they're both Mormon missionaries at one point.
Oh, really? I can see
Yeah.
that. I've had a lot of Mormon friends over the course of my existence on this rock, and yeah, it's an interesting in some ways. But like you said, I'll help no matter what you need. Kind of like the Amish over here. You need some help? We'll help you out. So they open up and they're on their mission. We see them walking their bikes up and down these concrete steps, stopping at houses, getting doors slammed in their face, like, fuck, go away. Okay, we got one more house. And we show up. It's creepy. You got wrought iron gates out front. They're locking their bikes up and shit. And They get to the door, and here's Hugh Grant just like, oh, hello. Oh, yeah, pies and shit.
I was
Uh,
just having a cup of tea.
right. Me and the missus. And they are following protocol though. They're like, look, we don't come in unless there's a woman present. Like that's the way we run things. That's the way the church goes. We don't come into the spot. And he's like, oh, my wife's here. She's just fucking in the back making a pie, and she's shy on top of that. Oh, okay. Well, we'll wait. We'll come in. And the one girl, and I shouldn't say, what are their names again? What's the blonde's name? I'm sorry.
I'll have to come back to that. Let's see.
Yeah,
Uh,
give me, see if you can
uh,
pull that up real quick.
yeah, yeah, no problem.
'Cause there's only three
So
fucking characters in this movie. I should be able to remember their names.
it's Sister Barnes is the dark-haired one,
Okay.
and Sister Paxton is the blonde.
Barnes and Paxton. Barnes and Paxton. Sounds like two names from a fucking cool 80s movie. Barnes and Paxton.
Aliens, dude.
Right. Right.
Barnes, get me an update.
Right.
Paxton, fire, fire.
Right. We gotta go, man. We gotta get out of here.
Game over,
So,
man.
Paxton starts giving her spiel that she's been trained to do. She's regurgitating. Like, let me tell you about the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints and how we can help you. Have you thought about where your soul is going to go when you die? And on the flip side, Barnes is looking like something's not right. She becomes suspect pretty quick. Like, this isn't, because he starts asking some weird question. I don't know what the first weird question is, but he like preps them for some strange question, and it's not that strange. Um, but we get these hints of him being an intellectual superior to both of these girls. Like, he's here to play games with them. And he's like, Barnes starts getting suspect, and she's like, yo, like, where's your wife? For real. We got to do this thing. Let me go get her. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And
This
that
house,
was,
you should mention, is very creepy. The
yeah,
whole thing is very unsettling. The way they filmed this was great. I really feel the tension building without really much dialogue.
right.
And
It's I would agree with you there. Yeah, it's the whole, everything was meant to be unsettling, like very
right,
unsettling. And we get there super fast. The house becomes so unsettling because when they first walk in, they're pointing at pictures of like Jesus and family members and stuff. Like, oh, look, he's exactly like, it's okay. He's a church guy. And then she turns the candle though and sees that it's blueberry pie scented candle, and
right.
realized
He was
that,
saying
yeah,
that his
okay,
wife was saying making pie, and they were like, "Oh, we can smell it." And I
right.
was like, "Oh shit, here we go."
Here we go. And I just watched Monster Squad. I can't stop thinking about Scary German Guy. Like, how's about another piece of pie?
And he gives them cokes too, and I was just like,
Right.
and they don't drink it. I was like, "Smart girls,
Yeah.
don't fuck the roofies down."
Yeah. They're like, nope, we're good. And so he says he's going to go get his wife now, and they go into fight or flight mode. What are we going to do? My cell phone don't work. They do pretend at some point to have a phone call with,
Yeah, he says, "I hope you don't mind the metal in the walls."
yeah.
And then he like
This is
walks
even
off, and
before all that, because they're at the front door trying to get it open and they can't get out. And they're like, what the fuck? Like, oh, there's got to be something like a key or some shit. And he had taken their jackets, I believe. And we see, though, every time where he goes down these dark halls, this is where it is creepy as fuck because there's no light. It's just this straight dark tunnel. And we see him kind of back and forth at the end of the hallway. He comes back. I want to say this is where we sit down and he's like, I tricked you. Yes. Like, and you're not fucking going anywhere. And there was metal in the walls and shit like that. And he keeps reiterating though, like, I don't want to hurt you. Like, no, no, no. This isn't about that. This is about um choice. And the first, I would say 45 minutes of this movie had me good. I liked all this opening. I was engaged in all of this opening. Um and so we go into a new room that is essentially a chapel that he has built in one part of his house with two doors. There's a purple door and a green door. And he says, there's a way out through the fucking basement. You can go through the basement and, but it's up to you. Do you truly believe? If you truly believe, go through the door that he writes on the doors with chalk, belief and disbelief. If you want to go, and it was clever that both go to the same place, where he was kind of trying to push this idea. But they do eventually she opens and looks down one and is like, fuck whatever she sees. She doesn't like it.
It's gnarly, yeah, and you don't see what she sees, but
Right.
you just get like this long look from the bottom of a dark, creepy, like cavernous basement up
Right.
at her. You're like, yeah, fuck no. And
Right.
she's at the top going, no, fuck no.
Very Evil Dead.
But I loved all the shit with the
Well,
Monopoly
there.
board and the song.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he does bring a lot of he's comparing religions to different versions of games. And his at least a little bit what I took, his idea was that everything kind of stemmed from the same original source place. And that's what he's trying to figure out. He's like, I've studied, and this is where it started to fucking lose me. Where he's
Really?
like, I've studied every religion known to man.
Yeah.
And that's when just if I would have turned my thinking brain off, if I would have just shut it off right there, I would have been okay. But it's like I've known human beings who spent their whole lives studying just one religion and still not figuring it out. You know
Right.
what I mean? To truly be able to study all of that while constructing a fucking nightmare horror dungeon with like metal walls all over and pits and you're kidnapping people. And this is where the movie, I feel, to me, took every philosophical idea you possibly could and tried to jam them down your throat in like fucking the last hour and 15 minutes of this thing. And it's like every argument was like, okay, now we're talking about simulation theory. Now we're over here talking about this. Now we're talking about that. And I get his like whole point, about the control, but then he's even like, oh, from a scientific standpoint, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you are nothing he is presenting is relevant because he's fucking insane. I'm like,
Because
this dude
that's
is
the
nuts.
thing. That's the thing, Pops, is that like I looked at it differently because I was like, oh, this dude has a superiority complex. He thinks he has all the religions figured out because he read a pamphlet on each one. And he's giving these girls this big speech about
But he
Monopoly.
did have, but you got to think about all the pictures he had all over of all the
Right.
different figures from. He did have, to me, this is like whoever wrote this went to Wikipedia, found like, or just like Googled like arguments for and against Hinduism, and then like wrote like 2 pages based on that, like arguments against and for Judaism, And he's
But
okay, because he does like these are the main three. They kind of do that. But to present those ideas, that's like taking the universe and being like, it's just a couple stars and being
but that's
like,
what I feel like so many
yeah.
people are really doing right now. And it goes into like politics and the way the world is going
Oh,
right
yes.
now.
No, there's
People,
definitely a control message, but I don't think it didn't land because he's trying to say it's ever like too many things at once. Like you're in the shit swamp, and it was more just like maybe revealing the shit swamp. But again, it was under this psychosis. And it's
right.
so
But
no arguments he makes are valid
that's
in
what I like though, because the girls aren't just being like talked to. Well, he's trying to do that. And some people would just be like, oh, yeah, you're right. This guy knows what he's talking about because he keeps saying facts.
yeah.
That's not it, dude. There's so many people like that. And I liked the fact that like he thought his argument was like undestructible. Like nobody could dent his armor.
Right, right.
But he was full of shit because he just kind of took the basics of everything without fully immersing himself and looking into it and was just like, oh, I looked into all
But
these
he's
religions
not
and it all,
presented that way. He's never presented that way throughout any of this as being like ignorant and unknowing. He's presented as
oh,
crazy.
he thinks he knows everything, but he doesn't. And the girls get the better hand of it, they get the upper hand on him and pull apart the dark-haired girl pulls apart his theology, and that's when he
How
gets
the
violent.
how the fuck did she come back?
Because it's hard to kill a person. We're meat sacks, and sometimes we leak slow, sometimes we leak fast, dude.
Let's get to all this when they're dying and shit. Because I also think I don't think she successfully pulls apart his argument. I even think her arguments are weak. And I'm
Right.
like, the whole thing just seems like so, like you said, this is representative of, I think, the way some of us perceive people, and it is not just people in like a religious context. Like you said, it's corporate, it's politics, it's fucking sports teams that people bow down at the feet at. You know what I mean?
Anybody that has a belief system.
There can be a control piece somewhere. And when you get free of that control, I think if we can get free of that control, it's fucking awesome. Where you just aren't influenced but in that way. Um, but in this, like even it seems like the very surface level of that, like as shallow as you can get. Like if there's a little puddle of piss as far as ideology is concerned and like bigger ideas, then that's what it is. And I believe it might give somebody, ammunition for their own belief system, while at the same time it's like, yo, it's just weak, it's small, it's a little idea. And would I pull something apart like this if it was fucking Halloween 4? No. But this one I feel like was trying to present me and give me an idea to think about it, but then at the same time I feel like it insulted my intelligence and was like, yo, you're only this little bit thinker. I'm going to give you a little bit to think about. Now, I don't trust you to think about a bigger concept. I trust you to think about a little idea. And we're appealing to masses. Like we said, studio systems want to make money. You know what I mean? So what's I don't want to say the lowest common denominator, but what's the common denominator? Who's going to react to this? Who's going to want to, and so put it out that way. And maybe I'm all wrong. I could be completely fucking wrong, and I don't understand any of the movie, what they were trying to say.
Well, this is what I think is that like the main thing that he's trying to get across is that he looked at all religions. He was trying to find which one was correct because everybody thinks that their religion is the right one.
Right.
And I love the idea that like a lot
Oh,
of
that's what it
religions
was.
have the same stories.
That's what it was. That's what it was for me. I think that irked me is he's an ego megalomaniac.
Yes.
And
And
that's
these little young girls took him down.
right. And well, kind of, yes. Did they take him down? They also both fucking died in that ditch with him. You know what I mean? Down in the dungeon. Maybe they
Can't make an
figured that
omelet
out.
without breaking some eggs.
And that was the thing. He's got all these fucking prophets down there in cages like animals. And he's like, oh yeah, and that's he's like, oh yeah, just touch the heartbeat right there. Like if you were really trying to prove resurrection, you'd be like, I'm gonna hook her up to a heart rate monitor. I got enough money to fuck put metal in all my walls and dig a huge basement. I mean, this fucker goes down deep. You know what I mean? Keep all these people trapped, keep feeding them. But he's like, yeah, just check the pulse real quick. Yep, dead. Okay. And then she's like, I figured out like a Scooby-Doo mystery. The face is wrong. And I'm like, he
Okay.
picked you
This is where we
funny.
came at this fundamentally different because like I thought that he bought that place that was an existing church and it had a catacomb underneath it. Like I never thought that like he dug that whole shit out himself. Like
Now,
I was like, oh, he bought this.
what church would you ever have that? But he tried to make a point of, I just built this cathedral, but it's worthless. This
Right.
place is worthless, even though it's covered in religious iconography all over the place. It's no more holier than the hole down in the ground. At least maybe there was something he said along those lines. But even if it was an old church, who filled their walls with metal in an old church? And it didn't have a church, like the inside wasn't like a steeple. You know what I mean? Very rarely do churches just have one little enclave in the back. Where you got, maybe like a house church, like an Amish church or something, where you just getting some, but I don't even think they would have that. I don't know. I feel like I'm picking on the Amish people, but I love all my Amish homies out here in the Midwest. But yeah, it just didn't add up. And it was those little things. And the pornography girl, suddenly takes this turn for the hyper detective. And it was, unless tragedy makes you smart as shit all of a sudden, you get
That's
like,
what I think. You get trapped in a fucking mouse trap, you're gonna find your way out of it.
you took too many fucking edibles and got so scared you fucking stumbled across the yard and was like, help me, please. I don't know if tragedy like that, that was your tragedy, but I don't think this type of tragedy, because she deduces, oh, I think that you got caught up. And when you switched the keys in the pocket, you got scared. And then the Topher Grace thing, he's only there for a total of what? 45 seconds of screen time, maybe?
Yeah, yeah.
And so there was I would have preferred a 3-hour cut of this movie to maybe open up some of the ideas or some of the characters, because he felt just wasted to me. I'm like, why is he even, because he never had any role at the end anyway, I don't think. He
I
didn't
felt like he was there to give you like a small sliver of hope that maybe like these girls are gonna get saved by an outside source.
but he would have also been the primary control source.
How so?
he's their religious leader who told them where to go to do their missions and all that stuff. So they're back at square one in a place of no control. So you could have still set it up that way, gave it back to them. They're like, oh, walk back into the church all ominous and shit. Like, fuck. This was the truth the whole time, is that there is no absolute control, and they were willing to like run back to it. But he just pops up like, hey, you seen these girls? They're like, fucking help, help.
Yeah,
No. Okay,
I
dude.
would have liked
You're
it.
supposed to be here. Oh, you moved their bikes. Oh, bye.
It was that. I will give you that. I would have liked it better if you would have like brought him into the spider web and then killed him. Like he
Yeah,
finally
something
sees
like
the
that.
girls and he gets knocked over the head. What would have been even cooler is if he came in and he was like part of it the whole time. He sent the girls there and he does this for Hugh Grant.
That would have been but then what would have Hugh Grant's like? I mean, I think he just wanted them to, because the end goal was to kill each other, right? He wanted the one girl to kill the other one or kill herself.
I don't know if he had an end goal. I feel like he was just running this experiment and however it played out was like going to be okay with him. It was
Yeah,
going to tell him what he needed to know.
I think there was something more when she's on the ground right before he gets whacked in the fucking head by the dark-haired girl, and then he's like, I want you to pray and shit. And I feel like at that point there was supposed to be this almost like catharsis where he saw the true religion being like the selflessness of this person, even in the face of no control. Her being like, you know what, fucking, I give it up. Like, I don't really. And then he starts to cry a little bit. So I'm not completely shitting all over this movie. I think there was something there. I think it was just too many ideas. Like, you
I
could this whole movie just about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You
yeah.
know what I mean? Without bringing in or just about one thing or just about other, but nobody'd really take that because they'd be like, you're picking on my fucking religion, and that's not okay. Like you said, people get very, very defensive and militant. But at the end, I do think there was supposed to be some moment of him like fucking, having this realization. Kind of like, have you ever seen Martyrs, the French fucking extreme horror film? I think Martyrs is this movie, only it's the message just punched me so much harder. But they're trying to get to the next stage of religion or whatever through torture. And so they've got this girl where they fucking completely skin her and shit, like to bring her like as close to death as you could possibly be. And all these rich white people are just like doing it, to try and find the secret to death. And the ending is just like I feel like that's what this could have done. It could have been big like that and like punched you in a way that's like, oh, like what was it? You know what I mean? Really, really good.
That's
Whereas
not the Bloomhouse model, though. The Bloomhouse model is do it small, do it simple, but do it palpable for as many people as we can. So they're almost PG-13, even though they're
I
rated
feel
R.
like, listen, I'm telling you right now, and I hate to say it, but I feel like the whole model they have is just look for whatever the buzzword of the last couple months is, make a movie with that as your theme, put it out really quick and cheap because people are still going to be talking about it a little bit, resonate with them, and then when it's something else, move on to the next one. And that's not just them; it's every studio system, dude. For a
Yeah, I
long
mean,
time,
it's a
yeah,
mess right now, dude.
dude,
We're
it's
not getting anything. Maybe that's why like I was so excited about this movie is because like it just barely touched on like a thinking movie. And I got all excited about it.
right. And I think part of it too is coming off of Blair Witch. So fucking high up for me, and then I
Right.
jump right into this. And when it comes to movies, like this that challenge the religious structure and things like that, I don't know, I like a little more demony, and The Exorcist, the Taking of Deborah Logan, like big possession type stuff. And I I guess this was more just like it felt like it was supposed to be. I was sitting in a college classroom again, and it felt like it was supposed to be a lecture, but it felt like the professor didn't know what they got all their notes mixed up in one. And we're just
Right.
like, oh yeah, Eastern Mesopotamian religion started. Oh, wait a second, there's something over here. Oh, the Greeks started talking about that and oh yeah, yeah. And yeah. And for somebody who feels so uneducated in that stuff, but who has been reading it pretty much for as long back as I can remember, just continuing to pull at that thread and seeing like what everybody believes and stuff, it just felt like an insult a little bit. Like, yo, I'm gonna minimize these people who spent their whole lives like developing, these ways of thinking and shit. And maybe that was part of the point too. Like it's been minimized down to a monopoly board. Like everybody's lost their true traditions and don't even understand what their religious tradition is anymore, or the people that founded their religious tradition. You know, they know what this version of that they live in right now, but don't go back and look at the original text and say, okay, what was the Buddha doing sitting under the tree? You know, what was Jesus actually doing? What was Muhammad actually saying? What was Moses and fucking Abraham and all these guys actually saying? And so we take this kind of new version, and that's a little what it felt like. And maybe that was the whole point, and I hope that was it. But I don't know if anyone is going to think that deep into it. I think it's easier to take the surface level thing, like, oh, look at everybody's controlling you. You got the problems. When it's like, yo, if you look at it, though, kind of we're all being pushed in one way or another by something, not necessarily religion, but something
Yeah,
is
whether it's
controlling.
capitalism, whether it's religion, whether it's politics, we're all
Yeah,
being pushed by something, and there is no right fucking dogma. It's all over the place.
yeah,
It's all convoluted, and there's all kinds of other shit. I know, like maybe, like you're more religious. I am zero religious,
right.
so maybe like it was like more offensive to you than it was to me to think that like all the religions
I
kind
think,
of get
but
it right.
see, it's the no, it wasn't even that part of it because when I look at a lot of the major religions and not even, the Chinese, the Vietnamese, the Japanese, all of these, I look for one thing, and that's is it rooted in love and kindness? And most of them are, almost all of them are, but people have taken them and like turned them into their personal gain kind of thing. And it's
Which
like,
is
oh,
what I got out of this.
that's
Peter
not
Grant took all of these ideologies and put them into like something that he was like, okay, now it just comes down between good and evil, and I've got to
right.
figure
He
out
was
which
trying to
side.
be God. He was just trying to play God,
Right.
but we've been presented with this. I think the Matrix does it so much better with a fucking spoon. I've been
Totally.
thinking about that since 1999, and it took me until like last year until I finally got it. Like actually, it's not a thought. Like I don't think about it anymore. It's an actual internalized understanding of what he was saying with no fucking spoon, and I'm like, that's it. So those messages can be put out there. You know what I mean? They can be said in that way because even the Matrix did it good, like presenting
Yeah.
all these different ideas and stuff like that.
Without shoving it down your throat either.
Right, right. Like what's that joke? What's the difference between a jelly and a jam? Like I can't jelly a jam down or I can't jelly a dick down your throat. Yeah, terrible joke, but in some ways it feels like that with this. You even look at the regular news media feels like this, where
Oh
people are
yeah.
just like fire hosing you in the fucking face, like
Yeah.
with and I like it more when it's presented as a, just barely there to where you can, oh, it gave me something to think about, not told me what I should think about.
Right. And
You
you're
know?
right. The 3 hour version of this movie could have been that. This is watered down as much as they can do to
Yeah.
try to like feed this idea to you because this is not what you want when you go to a movie is blasted in the face with religious
Right.
ideas.
Well, you're right, and I'd rather see, digging into like the Ed Gein stuff and the horrors of like true life religious oppression, or because I've read books on like, there's a really good book I read one time called "Escape" by Carolyn Jessup, and she was in a polygamist community, and talked about when she left. They came and snatched her up in the middle of the night at like 15 and was like, "Yo, you're married now," or like fucking 13 or something. Just gave her this dude. She had all these kids. And finally, she's like, I got to get the fuck out. Some of the kids went with her, and the other ones were like, yo, you abandoned the fucking religion, mom. Like, you ain't even my mom no more. So this stuff is very real, and does happen. And I think religion is the easiest thing to say it's fucked up because it's the one thing you expect people to be good in. You know what I mean? When they say like, "Oh, I follow this" or "I follow that." Rarely do we say, "Well, yeah, I'm kind of fucked up too. Like I've done a lot of fucked up things in my life." We both done fucked up shit, right? Yeah, okay. Let's just try and maybe not do as much fucked up shit anymore. That'll be that'll be good.
I think that's kind of the basis of all religions, dude. You just like nailed it in like one sentence.
I mean, you look at the whole of most of the religion, they do. That's why it's called the golden rule, because it was kind of found everywhere. Like truly, but to truly do unto others as you would want to have them do unto you is to be completely selfless. And that's the opposite of this character. That's the opposite, I think, of a lot of our religious icons that we have around the world and stuff like that. I think in some religions, money is the god, in other ones, control is the god, in other ones. But I do believe there's a lot of great people out there who follow a religion who are fucking helping people and doing all kinds of great things. I was just talking to my buddy Jason about it, and I was like, we need more like show me the good shit that people are doing in the world. You know what I mean? Like a channel where it's just like, yeah, like we've seen all this terrible stuff, and my heart goes out, all these earthquake victims and fucking shit, like being buried under fucking ground. There's people who have died just recently, crushed under a building, thinking they were gonna go about their regular day. But I would love to see some spotlights on these cats that are out there working 24, 36 hours, digging out fucking rubble. And, we always just, the headline is always the death toll, 1,600 died. But what if that it was like, man, 1,600 died, 3,000 people showed up to help out and to see some of that.
You're going against what headlines do, Joe.
I know, dude. But we got to do Man Bites Dog one day, that serial killer flick, because that really is just a slap in the media's face of like, look at what you're doing. You're part of the fucking problem, or Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal, like that shit. When he's just like watching fucking, with your cameras out. People do that. They don't stop to help. They just film it like, yo, yeah, I was there. Scary stuff, dude. So anyway, in this one, let's get back to the movie we were talking about. And no, I don't feel any personal offense, like as far as it's coming from a religious standpoint, because I don't feel any personal offense about anything anymore for the most part. Just because somebody says something doesn't mean I have to grab onto it. It's more of like, okay, this is a good reflection of where our culture's at right now. You know what I mean? As far as what's being distributed, the messages that are being talked about, this is a good example. And most things are good examples. Other times they're cash grabs, this, that, or the other. But I feel this is how a lot of people feel about religion, and it is a good target. I wish we would feel the same way about our politics. Like, yo, let's stop bowing down at this shit and be like, fix it, motherfuckers. Like collectively be like, fuck you, fix this. It is bad, but even in our country, being a Republican is so closely tied to being a Christian person that they're not a separate. You can't being a Democrat, like you can't have a religion for the most part, or you don't really talk about it much because that's if you want to be in one of the main camps, like one of the big ones, there's little offshoots where you'd be like, oh, I'm this or that. Same thing with, who knows somebody or has seen somebody throw a fucking can or a TV remote through the wall after watching a sporting event and watching some shit happen. You know what I mean? Punch it, like getting physically violent.
I can hear my neighbor screaming at the TV, dude. And I asked him, like, what are you doing? He's like, watch football, bro.
Right.
That's what I do on Sunday, dude, to relax. You're like, fuck.
So maybe it's up to us. Maybe because that movie hasn't been made yet. There's a great writer and author that I love and I follow for a long time. And he always says, if you can't find the book you're looking for, write it. Because it's not there yet. And maybe the movie hasn't been there to be, to present this whole idea, to pull all this shit together, to find a way to communicate it. And that like, hey, yes, there's a lot of good and bad and all kinds of shit and blah, blah, who knows. But I don't think that's the Blumhouse way either.
No, it's not at all. No, it's like take a cool idea and then like make it cool for everybody.
Or just don't care. Call it Black Christmas, and maybe that's why I came to this. And I don't even remember if they were attached to this movie, but that's the same thing. It's just that like spit something out, that throw enough shit at the wall and some of it will stick, and just have an algorithm run for some buzzwords. There's probably somebody in the studio whose job it is to be like, tell me what's fucking relevant right now. And then like, oh, sir, it looks like such and such is trending on X and also on Instagram. Looks like people are really worked up about A, B, and C. Oh, okay. You got 1.5 million. I fucking greenlight it. Go. I want it out in 2 weeks. And then you've got a movie. And I wish
that's what Seth Rogen was saying. Seth Rogen was saying that, like, unless you come to the studio with an IP, which is an intellectual property, something that people know just from hearing that thing,
or seeing a face or an image, or yes,
right. So for me, the Heretic didn't have a connected IP, so I was super excited. It wasn't Monopoly the movie,
right? Right, and it is crazy the IP world we live in. You're 100% right, dude, and it's not just. in movies. It's video games. It's, we get some more original stuff in video games, but it'll piggyback, it'll carry over. That's a lot of everything. And I'm with you in that I like something, even though I did just recently watch fucking Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2.
Oh man,
Yeah, I actually liked it, dude. I liked Tigger.
really?
I didn't hate the first one. The effects are fun. I like seeing little filmmakers getting, you know what I mean? It's cool to see people. Yeah, they brought it in. I don't know if you ever saw the first one, but there's a
I
scene where
haven't.
Pooh has fucking Christopher Robin up in like chains, and he's whipping him with Eeyore's tail because they had to eat Eeyore when he abandoned them in the 100 Acre Woods. So he's beating his back, and he's like, getting tortured.
That's amazing, dude.
Yeah, it was kind of wild. It was fun. But this, yeah, for me, like I said, there were some cool elements. I really liked the first like 45 minutes where it was going. Like I thought this was leading up to a cool, little deeper discussion on some of these ideas because I think we all need to have these discussions about how, yes, different religions have influenced each other, but then look at other ways they're separated and, look at why the cultures did what they did. Like understand our roots enough to celebrate those traditions without buying into some perverted version that we have, 2,000 years later, 4,000, 5,000 years later, something like that. But yeah, that first 45 minutes was really good. The performances, I'm not going to discredit any of these cats. They all showed the fuck up, did great things. Set design, good. For me, it was pretty much everything but the story.
Right.
Everything but at least the last half of the story or the last, 45 minutes or so. Everything because it was just too many ideas. Like I said, just a water fountain of like, because he tried to convince her she was in a simulation for a while.
Yeah, then it got into that. That went too far.
And but it kept like jumping from one thing real quick to the next one, and I was just like, "Holy shit!" And she's like, "No, we can't. That's already been disproved by da da da." Da." And then again, I was like, "Well, yo, weren't you just never seen like a porn movie, but you've read fucking like Descartes deeply and understand all this stuff?"
All right.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but either way, um, and
What do you think of
how
his
did
magic
it
trick?
end? How did it end? Did she died right down there? Or did she get out?
No,
She got
she got
out.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
she got out. They get her down to the basement, and there's this whole thing where they've got this girl, and he tells them that we're gonna poison her. She's gonna die, which for
She's a
some
prophet. He
eating
tells him
pop.
she's the prophet. She's a modern day prophet because he gives him a bunch of shit about Joseph Smith. And he's like, he only used, the tablets in the books to get out of his polygamy backlash that he was getting. But I have a real modern day prophet here in front of you. And she looks like a fucking witch,
Yeah,
like a
it's scary.
troll, like just covered in rags and fucking like barely moving.
Yeah,
And just starts shoveling pie in her mouth.
really like blueberry pie. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
super gross. Anytime you eat pie in a movie, I'm gonna barf, dude. It's like
Yeah.
gross.
What was,
Uh,
what's the Stand By Me?
yeah, dude.
That's one of the
That's
best
growing
pie
up.
fucking barf scenes. Oh, best pies ever. Thank
Just a
you.
great scene in a movie, dude, where it's a totally offshoot from the story that you're watching. You get
Right.
this crazy little story in the middle, which is such a Stephen King thing, dude.
So it's such a Stephen King thing because this town is known for its great pie eating contest. That's what I love about Stephen King, though, is he was quoted one time as saying something along the lines of people are like, aren't you fucking lonely and shit writing all day? He's like, no, I'm hanging out with people all day. He's like, I just let them go and I write down what's happening to them in these worlds. And he does, like, he makes you care about the characters right before he fucking cuts their heads off or makes them adulterers or murders them all. Yeah, he really makes you feel like these are real people.
All we've done this entire episode is talk about how other stuff is way better than the we talk about.
I'm not mad about that, dude. I mean, you came at me with fucking rubber, you know what I mean? You don't understand it. I don't understand this. I understand, I think I understand it almost too well, if that
Right.
makes sense. Like I see like not only the movie, but then I take a step back and look at the studio system down on it and how is this film itself a means of control to steer you away from the idea of any sort of organized religion. So you're just
Right.
going to control on a whole nother thing. You know what I mean? Like, is it so? I don't know. But
I
yeah, I
was
think it's a
curious,
good
like where the
concept
writer was.
with a. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was gonna say I was curious on where the writer was coming from. Like, what religion background does he have
Right.
that he valued his perspective on this movie because I felt like he was trying to make this movie with all these big ideas, but not have a perspective on it. Like he was
Maybe
just
like,
like,
yeah,
here's
like
all these
if
ideas.
you would have brought in, take this script, but they're not going to spend the money on it. Bring in a teacher, bring in a theologian from each one to give you a little bit of insights and into some of it, because the surface level arguments I think are the easiest arguments to have because it can protect you from needing to really investigate religion further. If you can say, oh well, it's fucked up control thing, then it's easier to walk away as opposed to, oh, I'm actually going to look into how this whole thing started and look at the times. Don't look at the religion itself. Look at the people around how when it was born. Look
Yeah.
at what was going on in the world. Where were the trade routes going? Why were things coming and going where they are? Whereas this seems like good ammunition to be like, fuck thinking.
Well, especially in the third act. The third act, all the
Yeah,
thinking goes right
yeah.
out of this
And
movie.
that's what really shit on my parade was that last like half hour, 45 minutes. I was like,
Talk
wow.
about that part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, I mean, and her showing up out of nowhere, like you said, okay, so they poison this woman face down in the pie. She like eats a little bit really grossly and fucking falls face down into the pie. They're like, and he's orchestrating them from in the room or upstairs. He's
He's got a
upstairs
little
on a,
sub room on the up the halfway up the stairs. He has a room that
He
he's going.
gets to that little room.
Or
Paxton
the
gets to that little room at
yes,
some
yes,
point.
yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot more in this like little nuanced stuff. But so the face falls in and he's like, yo, check the pulse. He's like, put your finger right up there. You would agree that she was dead, right? Yeah, she's dead. Um, and there is a good scene though. I like the Barnes picking apart his whole, because that's also, I think, anyone who's really studied, I believe, science and or religion, if you look deep enough, you realize I think the only knowing is that you don't really know shit.
Yeah,
you know
totally.
and to accept that and to be a part of that, whereas this guy couldn't accept the uncontrollable. But so he's given them the weakest check the body stuff I've ever seen. She's
Yeah.
like barely touching the pulse, and maybe the one girl stuck a knife in her pocket. She gets a knife at some point, but he's like dead, right? And then knocks him out and the
Uh,
body's gone, because somehow he's got to switch the bodies out, or they went upstairs and he switches the bodies out.
at some point, he cuts her throat.
But that's before I think the bot. Yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't know. I don't remember the middle part either, but I
There's
just
a
know
lot
that
going on right here. Like there's a lot of
yeah,
things being thrown at you, and you're trying to listen to the dialogue. But yeah, he out of nowhere just like and cuts her throat,
yeah.
and then
And his whole plan relies on them going from step A to B to C to D.
right,
If they would fucking did it in any other way, his whole plan would have been derailed.
right, and she tries a couple times to derail him. But he does set it up, and we're led to believe that everything was on purpose, like them choosing the
Planned it,
doors.
everything.
Right, everything was on purpose. And again, was this just to show them that there is no true religion and it's just control is the true God?
That's what his ultimate thing is at the end. And that's where in that third act, they wind up in that other area that's even deeper. And he's got
Oh,
girls caged up in there.
yeah. And they're
And
in
he cuts
the,
one of their fingers off to show that like she lets him do it. He's trimming her fingernails.
yeah,
And he's like, control, cuts her finger off.
right.
And I was just like, what?
Right, right. But again, the control had to be specifically manufactured. Had he not started manipulating these women early on, because I think she even let some of them out along the way or started scurrying them out the door.
Well,
Over
they
the
won't
ages
leave
up.
because they
Yeah.
want to be there. And the whole time her friend has had her throat slashed and she's apparently dead.
And it looked like it was cut right on the freaking artery, dude. That's where I was like, she looked like she was bleeding out good. Because
Yeah.
normally, if you get cut and you're, still okay for a while, she would have had to have pressure. She would have had to have a bandage wrapped up, because she was on the ground while the other two argue for a good 15 minutes
At
about
least.
how he was wrong. Yeah,
Yeah.
not fucking 15 minutes in real time, like movie
You're
time.
right.
Then, yeah, even longer.
Yeah,
And
she's
then
bleeding out a long time. And then I was waiting for him, like, when's this gonna get rapey? And here it goes. It starts getting rapey.
yeah. Yeah, and but he doesn't rape anybody, does he?
It doesn't go into whether he did or not, but he kind of like gets horny for the girl, and that's when he gets real close to her and she's able to stab him in the neck.
Right. But no, he gets hit in the fucking head first, right? From the girl in the dark hair girl hits him with
Oh,
the chair leg with the spikes on it, right?
that's at the very end. That's what takes him out.
Oh, okay. So
Because
yeah.
they wind up going back into that room, and then surprise, she's alive, and she hits him with the board that's been sitting on the floor the whole fucking time. We could have just made this movie over in 20 minutes.
Yeah, because they had a knife for a long time too.
It was in her
And
pocket the whole time.
right.
Yeah.
But she does okay. So after that, we get back downstairs, and that's where we kind of the last couple minutes where we get the exposition, right? And she's like, I knew you switched the keys and you put the key back in the wrong pocket and you were super worried about it. And then I figured something else out, and then I realized that this was all just a big game. I still don't know how you switch the bodies. You must have done it with this, that. And it really is like the unmasking. Like we thought it was him the whole time. Oh
It
man,
was
Jenkins.
so Sherlocky, dude. It was like, yeah, she
Yeah.
was just like, yeah, or Scooby Doo, totally. Yeah, Sherlock is too highbrow for what this
Right.
was. It's a total Scooby Doo explanation.
It is, dude. It comes out of, and you can see this dude's love for Scooby Doo with all the trapdoors and shit and all that. But
Yeah, yeah, dude.
But I do think we get this moment where my interpretation, anyway, was seeing him kind of being having this true religion revealed to him in her softness at the situation and her willingness. You know, it was that true faith. Like he saw a demonstration of a true faith that was almost unshakable and coming from a real place. And then you see him, I think he starts to cry a little bit, but like maybe he finally got revealed to it. But by this time, you're like, I don't give a fuck. This guy's been killing people and like you said, possibly getting rapey and stuff. And
Yeah.
this doesn't it doesn't float. And then does she just crawls out and walks down the road and maybe sees some kids on bikes, like on or with like missionary bikes or something?
Isn't it the kids that like poured water on her before and made fun of her magic underwear?
Maybe, maybe. Yeah. Oh shit. Um, and what else did you take away? I want to hear what else you got because I know in my heart that you enjoyed this more than I did. Like I can
I
hear it.
did, I did. I really and like I put in like The Vanishing. Did you ever see The Vanishing? With
Not the Jeff Bridges one, but the actual
oh, the
Swedish
real.
or the yeah. Have you ever seen the real real?
I've seen the original one where he fucking lights the lighter and it's like credits, and you're like, fuck.
Like, well, and that hits you so hard because he's
So
like,
much
you want
harder,
to know exactly what she went through?
right?
Fuck,
But the whole
dude.
idea of that movie is that that guy did something good, and so he wanted to do something bad to see if he was either good or evil, and which one would like win in a one person that is struggling back and forth. And that was that idea. The cool thing about the American version is that what fucks it up for him is the Nancy Travis character goes above and beyond to save her man because of love, because
Sure.
she loves him. And with the Kiefer Sutherland character, he is going about the whole thing because he wants vengeance.
Right. And it's very different. Whereas I like that original version because it's just like, yo, this is a human being who is feeding their evil side. And there's
Yes.
nothing more than that. He's a family man. Like they're all having the picnic over where he just buried the fucking guy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude. Yeah. I mean, it was some, and there,
Again, another way better movie.
right. Same thing with Martyrs. Like I said, really that original is there is an English version of Martyrs, but they changed the ending for because we like a softer ending over here.
I hate
Yeah.
that, dude.
Yeah. And it's like even The Descent, dude, the original ending of The Descent, where she's down there, full blown psychosis, having a fucking imaginary birthday cake for her fucking dead kid. Doesn't crawl out of a hole, doesn't get fresh air,
No.
just broke her mind and she's having a fucking birthday cake. You
Yeah.
know, we're talking about all these things that like do it better. So it is
Yeah.
hard. It is
No, now, yeah, now I'm like, fuck this movie.
no, and I wouldn't say fuck this movie because it does have a couple points, but I think you're right. In some ways, fuck this movie. It just, yeah,
Right.
it doesn't deserve the
It
like I'd
doesn't
rather
hold up
watch
to
3C
scrutiny.
Strangler every day.
Ah, damn that movie, dude. Never seen something so disgusting.
So good. More grease, more grease, more
Ugh,
grease. Okay,
that
so
shit.
out of five religious death houses, how many do you give Heretic from 2024?
Before I talked to Pops Ghostly about it, I would have given this movie a solid 3.5. I'm gonna take off a half a point for this movie not being able to hold up to scrutiny.
I like that, dude. I like that honesty. That's still good. You're going to three. I'm giving it a two. Like I'm not completely shitting on it because I think there is a lot of good to be had. I would actually like to see both of these actresses doing more stuff. Or the one girl was in something, a series, a TV series that
She's in Yellow
was.
Jackets.
Is that what it is? Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'd like to check out more of their chops because man, they showed up, especially the dark haired, like, and that was another problem. This is the last thing I'll say about this fucking movie. But we never got that full explanation of her father. Like there was something, you know what I mean? Her troubled past. Like she had moved from New York or something. And it was just like, yeah, she moved from here and that's it. And but
Right.
she was like, "Oh, my fucking dad's dead and stuff." I'm like, if you're gonna say that, at least give me a little bit more for some character development. So we got a three and a two. Add them together, get a five. Um,
Dude, she's got quite the horror
spit some at me, spit some titles at me.
so we got
I
she
feel like
was
I
in
recognized her.
Companion, which is new and I haven't seen yet. Really want to. She was in Maxine. She's in the
Oh, yes, yes, okay.
she's in the Boogeyman.
That's
She was
that
in the
for
Book of
Boogeyman,
Boba
right?
Fett.
So yeah, she's a face that's been around, dude, and she has chops.
She was in the Exorcist TV series. She was young Reagan.
Oh, and that newest or that Fox one that was maybe like 5, 6, 7 years ago, something like that. Yeah, that wasn't super enjoyable. It was fine, but I watched a couple episodes and I was like, you just don't do The Exorcist for TV. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not network television. Yeah, right. You could do it on Stars. You could do it on fucking even FX. You could probably get away with some really cool shit, but not on Fox. Like at 8 p.m. on a Friday night or whatever. Need a little more gore and bile and all that good shit that comes along with The Exorcist. Okay, let us move over to the mindful portion of today. It's been a really good week for mindfulness for me. I've been meditating on a lot of shit lately, like just forgetting everything I know. And the more I'm like getting to that point, I'm like, dude, it makes total sense. Like to me, it does. Because then every situation you meet is like the first time. If you're not bringing, if I leave this room and don't bring any preconception of, my wife's attitude this morning or anything like that, how my kid was doing, and just go out there and be like, fucking yo. And then it's like, okay, I don't know, dude. Just be but that's not even what I wanted to bring to the mindfulness portion of today. That's just some shit that I've been working on my own. So last week we were going to record right before I went down to Port Huron, and I was pretty much almost game for it. But then I was like, I need a couple days because my older brother had passed away, and my older brother was quite a bit old, not quite a bit, but not super old either. And one really interesting revelation is everyone I talk to, the first question is always, what happened? How did he die? What happened? And I think that is because none of us like to face our own mortality on the regular. And that's a constant reminder that we are like, could something that happened to them happen to me?
Right, totally.
Let me know. Was it fucking cancer? Because I was on WebMD and I'm pretty sure I got a tumor.
I got this lump under my nipple and something's going out right.
Right. That's not to say
I
don't
get
get
it.
your lumps checked out, people. Get your lumps checked out. But
Tell you, I
I
didn't
feel
ask
like
him because I'm higher than that.
because you're so but that is the thing, is people want to know. And I'm not saying that's a wrong response. I think it's a natural response, but it's not like, oh, or, I'm so sorry for your loss. What happened?
Right.
Are you truly sorry? Are you truly sorry for my loss? Or is it more of the
That's
one?
just something you have to say to unlock the good stuff.
Right, right. I want to get to the goods, but I know I gotta
God
go.
damn, we're awful thing as people.
No,
We're
I gotta go through I'm so sorry for your loss. Oh, what happened though? Yeah, tell me about and again, neither here nor there, wrong or right. But I, in this passing, my brother and we weren't, especially later on in life, like super close. Like we were close, we'd talk on the phone here and there, but we weren't super close and stuff like this. Had this been one of my younger brothers, the response probably would have been a little more intense because we grew up in the same household together. It was a very, very close relationship. But when all this happened and listening to the world around me and how the world is responding to what I say, I really, and who knows, when I get to my last couple moments, who knows, maybe I'll be scared as shit. But I really view death now just like it's the same as if someone said, "Oh my goodness, so and so had a baby." I'm like, "Yeah, that's some natural shit to happen." Death is some natural shit to happen. We can push ourselves toward death faster. You can choose lifestyle choices that will move you towards death quicker. You can choose lifestyle choices that theoretically should prolong your life, but you might get a crazy cancer out of nowhere. It might just pop up. When I see fucking the St. Jude's commercials with little kids with cancer, I'm like, that's fucking doesn't seem right, dude. Like, that'll never seem right in my eyes. So you never truly know, but understanding life and death as being the same exact thing and that they happen all the time. Like, they happen with every breath you take. Like, every breath is a new life because one day we won't take another in breath. And that will have been the life and death of that breath. Like, it's only new life when you take in a new breath. If you can't do that, then that's the end of that. But the understanding of life and death, I feel, is so important for us as a people and as a culture because we don't live under the realness of that reality. And it's the only truth. It's like one of the realest truths is that we're all going to die one day. And for some people, I don't know, if you can sit there and truly know that and truly understand the finite nature of humanity and sit around and do nothing all day, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. That kind of sucks. Like, if you know, like, I'm about to die and you still feel this, like, edge of living forever, I can just be lazy today because I was telling a friend recently about, I don't know what book I picked it up from, but it's called Someday Isle. It's an island. And a lot of people live on Someday Isle. And it's like, someday I'll do this, someday I'll do that, someday I'll do this, someday I'll do that. And you live your whole fucking life on that island, never doing anything that you want to do, that you actually want to do. You might be doing some shit, but most likely it's because somebody else, needed you in that position and you're helping them to do whatever they're trying to get off Someday Isle. They're like, someday I'll make $1 million. I need a bunch of people to do that, and they'll plug you into place to help them make $1 million. And that's not say don't work for a corporation or something like that, but work your way the fuck up. Like, don't just get stuck somewhere if you can help it. Because I think we all want something. We have this innate nature to want to feel accomplished or feel, we left some sort of a mark with our small existence. My view, I find it a lot easier to do that in the view of life and death as they are. It's easier to be motivated to do something and being like, yo, I for real know I could die tomorrow. Like, it's not so. Am I going to act today in a way like even today though, all the way up into recording with you, I sat on the couch with my kid and played video games. But that was super important. I've been gone for a week and she's like, "Hey, will you sit and play with me?" And I just gave her my full attention. We're laughing, having a great time. So if I was to die right after we stopped recording, I'm like, "Yo, I spent my morning with my kid doing cool shit, not fucking like reading the news or being miserable or scrolling around on my phone or just wasting time, fantasizing about if I just had some money, then I'd be fucking happy, or living in the future, living in the past. Man, I was a fucking piece of shit for a long time. Nobody could ever possibly like me now because I'm terrible." But just be right now and understand that we are finite, man. We are super finite. So that was my dad's gone, my oldest brother's gone. So I guess now in my dad's lineage is I'm the oldest fucking man. Time to fucking strap up the britches and make everything right. But yeah, don't. It's just sad to look around and what appears to be like wasting time. We just live in this generation of, I feel we're going to be looked back on in a couple hundred years and they're going to be like, all they did was fucking waste. That's all they did. They wasted their time. Our ancestors fucking did all kinds of terrible manual labor all day and night long. Oh, fuck. You woke up, you started working the land, you started building some shit. Whole generations of people coming over on boats fucking during the Industrial Revolution, living and dying, building skyscrapers and shit to do all this stuff, to give us leisure. And now we have it. And what the fuck are we doing with it?
Don't know what the fuck to do with it.
I know what I'm doing with mine. I know what I'm doing with mine. And I know I can't waste my time worrying about other people, what they're doing with theirs. Like, when I meet them, I'm not going to meet anybody I don't see myself meeting anybody in the future moving forward being anything else outside of this version of myself. That's just like, hey, I'm not here for that. And I
Right.
have no problem saying it anymore. Like, yo, my time's so fucking valuable, dude. It's so valuable. I need to use it and do some good shit with it.
Dude,
Uh,
it's amazing how your weekly like mindful section always mirrors what's going on in my life.
I try to speak to humanity, dude, because it's going on in all of our lives.
Yeah, and I really think it is. I think that's what people like about the mindful section of this show is that they're like, "Oh God, you said something that like really resonated with me." I think you're super good at like connecting to that. Um, but yeah, I'm going through it right now where like I just went from being in like a corporate job where I was miserable and everybody was like, "Good for you, dude. You're really putting in the hard work and you're really," and I was like, "No, my life sucks." And I'm fucking breaking my balls for the man. And I broke out of that, dude. And you'd be shocked at how much like passive aggressive hate comes my way when they're like, well, what are you doing? Are you like applying for jobs? I'm like, nope, not really. And they're like, what do you do all day? And I'm like, I don't even know, man, but I'm real fucking busy.
We we are like that because when people see freedom from inside a cage, they don't like to see it.
No.
And yeah, but our cages, we build them ourselves.
Yes, anybody can do what we're doing, dude. Like neither of us really have a job.
No,
You
I
know?
mean I'm back to kind of working tattooing, but you're right. I mean, it was a long off not doing that. And but I've also made in the past couple months, like I've completely set up a business, got my LLC, got everything running in a way where my wife can run my business. I spent probably actually 6 months now that I'm really thinking about it when I started jotting notes down on paper, but about 6 months. And this is the thing, planting seeds, dude. I've been thinking a lot about that too. Back at that 6 months, I said, I know it's going to take me this amount of time. I'm going to have to put in this much work. But when I get to my end result, I just bought back like 2.5 hours of my day that I now have completely free to pursue the thing that I want. And that might be, hey, I got to build another business or not build another business, but work on the business section. But now I've got time to do that because I built my tattoo business in a way that Shayna can run the whole thing.
Mhm.
She all my booking requests come through her. All my fucking social media is through her. Just set it all up as a business so I could run it that way so I could buy time to do what the fuck I want to do. So that's when I would encourage everyone to truly evaluate a couple of your days and look at what you do with your time. You'll be amazed where you can carve out a little half hour, a little hour here or there and figure out what you want to do because right now whatever situation you are in, whoever you are, you're a product of your choices all the
Mhm.
way through.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
yeah. And you can make the choice to give up choices, and that's to me one of the best choices, or you can make good choices that will move you towards your goals and figure out what you want your goals to be. I talked to a few people this week. I said, if you could tell me right now, what is your dream life? What does that look like? What is your perfect? Everything is laid out exactly how you want it. What does your dream existence look like? I don't know if we spend enough time thinking about those things and saying, this is what I want for my life. Because if you don't, other people will pick it for you or me. If I all of a sudden just gave up and was like, man, I don't know where I want to go, somebody else will figure it out. Whether it be my lack of money would figure it out. It might push me into a job that I don't really want. Whether it's my situation, just like in the tattoo world, I might not pursue the things that I want to pursue because I'm just like, I'll just do what I want, just kind of float along. And somebody will be like, oh, this is the new trend. And I'll be like, oh, I'll do that. And then they'll be like, oh, this is the new trend. Oh, I'll be one of those artists. Oh, this is the new trend. Oh, I'll do that. As opposed to like, yo, I'm going to buy my time back and I'm going to figure out what my art looks like. I'm just going to open up to the fucking universe and let it pour through until some crazy ghost shit flies out all over the world in cool tattoos. I don't know. You
Your
know,
ecto splatter?
my ecto splatter will do it. I would love to do like a realistic Slimer tattoo. But
Ooh.
they originally wanted him like the Al Capone gangster with the little hat on and the fucking Tommy gun and stuff. That'd be a cool Slimer. All right, dude. Anything else you want to add to that? All right. For the Horror Pop Extravaganza, I've been Pops Ghostly,
I'm Arnie Stinkknuckle.
and, and we'll talk to you next week.
want to get a whiff of this, bro?
Told you never bother me while I'm cleaning my room.
No! No! No!
Extravaganza.